Yes.
Let's not deal with magistrates and judges. Let's deal with lawyers.
Okay. So
members of the bar, leave the bench alone for a bit.
No, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Oh, so you're heading there.
Secondly,
okay.
Yes. So that's number one. It's important for this context. Number two, why do people go for options of corrupt processes? One, you want something speedily. That's the Kenyan way. I'm caught committing something, even a traffic offense. I think of how long I'm going to take in court. No, I want to. And you know that you're wrong. You want to take a shortcut. The judiciary is slow, for instance, in producing orders. So the client wants his orders very quickly. And what does he do? He says, no, can you get this thing quickly? Why do we have that kind of incompetence in the system? But there are many things. There's incompetence of judges, but there's also systems that are not working. I'll give you an example. The small claims court, you find a judicial officer dealing with 150 cases. It's overwhelming. Why not employ, there are many young lawyers who do not have employment. Employ them.
Counsel, please get to my question.
Yes, so now, if the system doesn't work,
I want to deal with corrupt lawyers.
If the system doesn't work, then you open up room. I'll give Majanja, the late Justice Majanja, used to issue his rulings.
Are you saying lawyers are corrupt because of bad systems?
I'm saying that is the only way you can resolve it.
Okay.
So that the system does not allow for corruption.
Right.
Majanja used to issue his rulings instantly so that you're not having to pay for it. What are you going to be paying for? The ruling, he hears it and he issues it instantly. There's nothing for you to pay for.
Fine. Let's hand the microphone at the back. Jerry, please give your comments. Yes.
I think Eric, you're asking the wrong question and making
Of course I'm asking the wrong question.
Yes.
I'm asking you to the lawyers. It will only obviously be wrong.
It will obviously be wrong.
And making very grave assumptions.
All right.
Now, you cannot say that all lawyers are corrupt.
I did not say all lawyers are corrupt, Counsel.
You said?
I said lawyers are corrupt.
You see? Okay, this is semantics. But see, what I'm saying is this. When you take an oath of serving the public, like magistrates do, judges do, people, let's say, in the lands office do, that is an office to serve the public without any influence, whether it is financial or maybe personal, whatever kind of influence. Now, I think the correct question we should be asking is, what systems are there to punish errant public officers? Because let me finish.
That will be your question.
I'm getting to your question.
My question is correct.
Listen.
It is my question.
Eric.
I insist.
Oh, he's called
Elizabeth.
Eric.
My question is correct. And I'm putting it this way. We have seen, and there's evidence previously, of judges being removed from office because of corruption.
They have.
All right?
Yes.
Now, in most of these cases, the people who have facilitated this corruption with the judges are lawyers.
That's why we're
How do you know this? Is there an investigation that has exonerated the lawyers from this?
And is
there? The Advocates Disciplinary Committee has dealt with matters of corruption within the legal profession. True.
No, Eric.
Some lawyers have been found to be culpable on corruption. True. There is corruption in the lawyers. Now, what I am putting to you here is, in the incidences where we see many magistrates and judges being corrupt, the conveyor belt is going to be an advocate. Prove me wrong.
That's why we are diverging now. The views between me and you are divergent. You see, the thing is, let me put myself in the place of just a litigant, an ordinary litigant.
Yes.
A litigant can choose any advocate they want.
Yes.
But they cannot go and build their own court, build their own lands office, and come and set it up there and serve themselves. And so the onus is on the public officer to actually uphold their oath of office. Given that in any profession or in any given setting, there will be some rotten apples. But to say that it is rampant in the legal profession, I think that is not correct.
It's very unfair, right?
And to say, and also look at it this way. Police officers are all corrupt, but does it mean that majority?
But
Does it
here
mean
we
that
have
you can get an
Police
honest
officers,
one?
we have
You
said
can get.
police officers are corrupt.
Exactly.
the microphone?
Yes.
Lawyers are corrupt. You don't agree.
No,
It's
no.
okay. Let's hear somebody.
And
Where's the microphone on this side? Yes, please. Yes, please stand and pass the microphone. Yes, at the back. Yes, please. Please stand. Introduce yourself. And what's your contribution?
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Wasonga. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here. Now, concerning corruption, I think we are not speaking to the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that we live in a country with a new constitution without constitutional behavior. So when we start saying that who is young, who is old, well, the country is young. This country is as young as August 2010. Therefore, any form of constitutionality is 15 years old. Now, concerning corruption, corruption exists in a space where there is a lack of morality. What is corruption? A lack of morality. When someone sits on a bench and says that you are making too much money and you should not get this money. It's the same thing they talk about footballers, NFL players, and all this. You're making too much money. Well, for a minute, let's stop looking at that side. Let us look at the base of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because we all have a base, you know? There's 20,000 of us. Now, at the base of this conversation on welfare, especially around remuneration, there's this interesting innovation, beautiful if you ask me. It's called the Small Claims Court. Now, the Small Claims Court handles matters that are a million and below. Forgive my French. A million and below. Now, 60 days, they're doing 54 days, turnaround times, 90 days and all that. However, so many of us are practicing there. I started getting there recently. But the thing is, you find JOs, they are called JOs, judicial officers. Judicial officers are issuing costs which are putting us below Watu wa Smoky. And no disrespect to Watu wa Smoky, they're doing a good job. You find, for instance, a matter you have carried for 54 days. And this is something I've gone through. You've carried a matter for 54 days. Your client is happy, they've gotten their orders, yay, kumbaya, you know. And then someone, somewhere, says that I am giving costs to the advocate 1,500 shillings. You've been there for 54 good days. God has made the sun go up and down 54 times. And then someone gives you that. Now, it reminds me of the Stanford prison experiment. And it's one reason why I'm here today to say this. Please, and I know people are watching, just look at the Stanford prison experiment, and if one is a JO somewhere, because we don't need to go to court about this. If it's Tamu, and this is something, we have 3 people who want to do something about our welfare, because that is what VPs do. I believe that this is something that the victor should look into, because Section 20A of the Small Claims Court Act says that the CJ and the LSK, that is one of them, will sit down and talk about the remuneration. Now you have people talking about the remuneration of the base of the pyramid, and they're issuing orders which do not make sense. A demand letter per the ARO is 1,300 Kenya shillings. You have prosecuted a matter to the hilt, and it is concerning a matter, mine was subject matter 750,000. And then you get 1,500. You just laugh. So I believe that anyone who is going to step up for VP, this is something you need to talk about.
Okay. How should this be handled? How should this be addressed?
Emotional intelligence, for one. Emotional intelligence. That's what I believe this country needs. We are over litigating, over constitutionalizing. Good governance, Article 10.
All right.
Human.
Okay. Thank you. All right. The microphone was on this side. Yes, please. Yes, it's you.
Hi, my name is Gilbert Mitola. I'm an advocate. You know, Eric, your question is very specific and directed, which is how should lawyers deal with corrupt lawyers? That's the question you're asking, right?
Finally.
Not about judicial officers, not about what's happening in court or whatever, just how should lawyers deal with corrupt lawyers?
Yes.
And the question I'll throw back to you is, how does a mother eat her children? In all reality, I don't think that a member organization, that is the Law Society of Kenya, would then go into the job of investigating its own members, finding those who are corrupt within itself, flushing them out and sending them away. Although you would want to act like you have such good values and pontificate, you are not being logical or practical. Again, goes back to Deborah's point on institutions, right? This is why we have, for example, the Advocates Disciplinary Tribunal that deals with professional misconduct, which is defined. All of you did professional ethics and you know what is in SOPEC, isn't it? And what the SOPEC says. If you go against what SOPEC says, there are consequences, whether at the Advocates Complaints Commission or at the Advocates Disciplinary Tribunal. When we get into the issue specifically of corruption, we have the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission that has a constitutional and statutory mandate to handle these sorts of things. We have officers, DCI and everyone who have hunted people left, right and center and brought them to book. So the question should be, of all those who have been brought to book or not brought to book as the case may be, how many of those have been advocates? How many of those have addressed this specific issue of advocates in court who are corrupt, or advocates at the lands office or wherever they may be practicing who are involved? It's not an issue that's unique to advocates. And again, another point that has been made, all Kenyans are struggling with this issue of corruption. So for me, my view as a member who is not vying for any position is that is that it would not be logical to ask the LSK or any candidate or anyone else, how do you purge your own members? These guys are looking for votes. They'll not answer that question, honestly.
All right.
But even more importantly, even if we gave you a response, that response would not be practical in terms of how the society itself can purge itself of its own members.
All right.
That's my response.
Let the microphone flow, please. The microphone at the front. Just pass it, yes. Let the microphone at the front. Where's the microphone on this side? Yes, pass it the front. Yes. Please, yes.
Yes.
Please stand.
So I would want, I think my colleague Gilbert has answered the issue of corruption within the society well. I would want to push this back to certain issues that were raised at the start. One of them is this purge in the judiciary, having this radical surgery. Most of those people who are complaining now were part of those judicial radical surgery that happened a few years back, right? So they are still complaining, and they were part of the recruitment of the new crop of judicial officers that are there. So do we blame them first that they recruited to us corrupt judicial officers? So it is also a self-reflection to the society that as we complain on radical surgeries and all these things, it's a societal issue. Kenya is facing a big issue with corruption. Corruption is killing our healthcare. Lawyers are complaining about healthcare. It's our society, it's our economy. So we are paying for the consequences of non-good governance, not respect for rule of law, and lawyers will continue complaining about the same thing. Our economy is not doing well, right? So lawyers are complaining, my colleague here, small claims courts are giving them low returns for their job well done, right? So we are paying for the same economy that is failing everyone else. All professionals are paying for lack of jobs. Private companies are closing. Our companies register every day puts about 200 companies that are closing down. What does that mean? It does not only affect the drivers, the people who are working within that sector, it also affects lawyers who have been working within that sector. So I think paramount enough for us is to ensure that Section 4 of our Act, rule of law, lawyers do not tire to do it. Because once we stop giving up on our systems, on the rule of law, then this country goes to the dogs. And lawyers will suffer it. Will suffer it completely. Thank you.
All right. On this side, yes, please stand, and then turn the microphone on the front. Yes.
Thank you very much, James. My name is Wycliffe Foyo. I am an advocate and a council member at the Nairobi branch of the Law Society of Kenya. I am aspiring to represent members at the National Council. So according to him, probably my answer to this question will not be objective, but I think I want to be very objective. Eric, I think when you talk of corrupt lawyers, that's a misnomer. There is nothing like corrupt lawyers. For the simple reason that the lawyer is not the beneficiary of the corruption. Unless, of course, you mean our members at the bench, but at the bar, lawyers do work and earn fees from their work. The corruption we are referring to here is facilitation probably for members sitting at the bench. From our side, you have been told, and I fully concur, that we have robust mechanisms to deal with malpractice and lack of professional integrity. We have the Advocates Complaints Commission, we have the DT to try cases where lawyers, for example, swindle clients of their money, where lawyers do not behave in a manner that upholds professional ethics. But when you talk of the lawyer probably facilitating the issuance of a bribe to a judge, and then you call the lawyer corrupt, the lawyer is not receiving the money. The lawyer is not receiving the money.
You said you wanted to be objective,
We must, as a matter of course, place it where it is.
Yeah.
The person not receiving the money cannot be the corrupt person. I think we must define corruption in these very clear terms. But let me finish by saying this,
Yes.
that again, to answer Eric, it is possible that the client may want to corrupt a judicial officer by not passing through his lawyer. And these are things that happen.
Yes.
Sometimes the lawyer is even surprised that the judicial officer was compromised. Yes. But let me finalize by making this point, that no matter the legislative interventions we have, I defer to the wise words of my teacher, Mwalimu Elisha Ngoya, Senior Counsel, that you cannot legislate good manners. We are an ill-mannered country.
All right.
And before we deal with that, these questions will keep coming. Thank you.
Pass the microphone to the front, please. Yes.
Thank you so much. My name is Nerima Were, and Eric, I'd like to answer your question by taking a contrary position. Yes, a mother cannot eat her children, but we started this by saying the revolutionary role that lawyers have played in very many different settings, including with multi-party democracy, including with the 2024 Gen Z protests. And the question really is, yes, we can't legislate good manners, but we can lead in acting out what Chapter 6 says of leadership, because it is our constitution, and it will not come alive until we make it come alive. And this is to say, while we cannot purge it by ourselves, we have to stand and say, where does the mandate come from to purge? And that comes with, why do we do this every 2 years? Because we understand that every 2 years we must assess and see, did who we voted for 2 years ago really do what they said they were going to do? When we say Okoa LSK, Brave New Bar, it's not for nothing. All these movements arose from seeing an inefficacy in a society, and that inefficacy starts from also understanding you have different duties to your client, one, to your colleagues, but then also to the administration of justice, not to the court, the administration of justice. And if you're a hindrance to the administration of justice, then you're bringing down the bar, which then means, what is our role? If every lawyer who started in a position didn't actually consider what their role is in moving the country forward, what is the road to Singapore for us if we're not going to take? What is the road to Singapore if we're not going to take those steps ourselves? And really sit down and say, in our self-assessment, how do we move forward? Nelson Mandela, lawyer. Barack Obama, lawyer. We can transform society if we actually put our mind to it. Our privilege cannot be for nothing. And to answer your question, maybe we don't have the mandate to purge yet, but I would believe if we wanted to purge, the mandate must come from the members. It can't come from the state to ask us to purge. It can't come from ethics and anti-corruption, but it must come from the members to say, listen, where we have reached, we cannot continue as a bar. We have to start removing people.
Okay.
If I had a vote,
yes.
you'd get the vote.
Yes?
Yes.
If I had a vote, you'd get the vote.
Oh yeah, I'm not vying, but when I am, please call me.
Okay, pass the microphone to the right. Yes. All right. Okay. Where's the microphone on this side? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So, in summary, we
Finally, give us the last one.
So, in summary, the issue of corruption. Is there corruption? Yes, we have accepted that this is a national pandemic. It's an issue. What my colleagues are telling you is that they equally long for the day when they wake up and go to their offices and do their work with just effort, hard work and integrity, and that is rewarded. Just like any other Kenyan who is going to Kenyan institutions and they are subjected to extra costs, there are moments even lawyers are also facing the same challenges, and as court users, they carry that burden. The other question is, what's the way forward? What should we do about it? Because remember, corruption is a threat to the rule of law. If it is left to just the way it is, then we have no country, there's no rule of law, and we are gone as Kenyans, we are gone as a society. What's the way forward? The way forward is, let's not put it under the carpet. Let's not ignore it. And LSK will take its position to also advocate and highlight, because without fair and systems that are free from corruptions, even us, our practice space, our profession is under threat. So yes, we accept that there are issues, just like any other profession is, because you have seen the other day, the Ministry of Health, it's rated one of the most corrupt. You have seen what's happening with SHA, and there's no exception in the legal fraternity. What we are saying is, we accept that we are also facing certain challenges. It is not inherently a vice that is just identified with the legal profession. It is a national issue, and it is something that should be handled. So thank you.
I think I have one last corner to purge the lawyers. And in this teenage country of ours, it will be very interesting for me to learn. And I know we have human rights lawyers in the room. We have the crisis of femicide, the crisis of gender-based violence, the crisis of violation of human rights. And I'd want to understand, especially as we are proceeding towards the elections, what is the independence and the structural amendment for LSK to protect the lives of women, to protect the lives of Kenyans, and to separate its amendments in understanding what exactly does Kenya fortify in credible elections, and where does LSK stand in this process?
Can I add to that question that then I would ask it's election and we've avoided to talk about the presidents for good reason. Please tell us who you're not voting for and why, as you answer that question. Who you're not voting for, not who you're voting for the president of LSK.
Yes.
Who you're not voting for?
Yes.
Secret ballot.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Yes,
You're about to answer the question.
Yes, thank you, James. Again, my name is Abner Mango, General Member Representative candidate. So I surely know I'll vote for myself. But the person who I'll not vote for is a person, and this is a general concern that feedback I'm receiving from members of the public and members of the bar. The LSK, as rightly mentioned under Section 4, we are tasked with defending the rule of law. So who we are not voting for is a president that will sit on the fence. We need a president that is a human rights defender. So even as they go around and ask for the vote, we are also encouraging members, because we are basically the last line of defense. And I really liked your question, because now as a matter of policy, Kenyans would want to know, are they really safe now that we are geared towards an election period?
And our neighbors have shut down the internet.
And I was going to that point. Now, and it's worrying, because if you look at the years, we are 2025, 2026, 2025 Tanzania, 2026 Uganda,
finals.
Now 2027, finals is now Kenya. Yes. So we have seen a very worrying trend. And the worrying trend is, it's, for example, it looks like it has become a jumia of abductions.
Authoritarianism.
You see, for example, yeah? And the other day we were pushing for the release of, say, Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo, who were abducted in Uganda. Yeah? Some of our human rights activists, the likes of Boniface Mwangi, when they went to Tanzania, the bad things were done to them. And now it generally goes back to your question on human rights defense. And you've also mentioned an issue, say, on femicide. And we thank God, for example, the president we've had and who's now finishing her term had a lot of passion for human rights defense and especially women. So we need to maintain that pace and actually even increase it so that we ensure that at the end of the day, we are a country, or we have leaders in our country who have a respect for the rule of law. And the only people who are able to do it is the Law Society of Kenya, or part of the important stakeholders is the Law Society of Kenya. So we need a president who is a defender of the rule of law and somebody who cannot be compromised or be a fence sitter.
Say it with your chest.
Yes, members will tell. They are going down.
I know them. Yes. Deborah, and then Sophia, you want to take a part of it? All right. Okay.
Just picking up from where Abner has stopped, I will say that, we have had a run where we have seen the council advocate, really advocate for human rights defense. And that needs to continue. Yeah, but some of the things that we need to look at, for instance, and remember, we have a role not just to champion for safeguarding of the Constitution and all. We must be part of the conversation in legislation and legislative drafting. There's been this conversation about what is femicide.
What is so hard about making femicide a whole law in itself?
Okay, so now that's the conversation we need to have. And that's why we come in as LSK. We must be able to sit at the table. We are the ones who understand the law. And we must sit at the table. When you're coming up with it. Yes, we have sat, but my dear, we have to engage stakeholders. There's so many stakeholders in this conversation. Why do we have a section of the society who feel like femicide should fall within the criminal, legislation existing? It's a conversation. Yeah. But then there are those who are on the other side who feel like femicide should be a very specific crime. Where is the disconnect? Because there's no dispute about the fact that it is wrong. The disconnect is the manner in which it is described and the punishments thereof. So we must sit at the table and have this conversation. Nobody is saying that, femicide is a good thing. We're all in agreement. But we just can't sit at a table and agree, you know what, this thing is so grave that we need to define it in a specific manner. And that's where we come in as the Law Society of Kenya, where we have this conversation and just take the bull by the horns and say, this thing, it's rampant, because every day we have that conversation all over social media. The next day there's another case. That's what happens. So we are talking and talking and talking, but I don't think we're taking matters,
Deborah, are you
seriously.
seeing in the three candidates who are, gunning for the presidency, do you see anyone who has the capacity, the depth, or the willingness to take on this question in an election year?
Wow. That's a trick question.
Secret ballot.
Kura yangu ni siri. But having said that, no, let me just finalize. I think the membership knows the three candidates, and they know them in depth. And within this period, we are going to have debates where you will listen and you'll be able to judge. Aside from the debates, you'll be able to judge on what somebody has done. I can come and tell you and promise you many things, but there's a track record.
Okay.
And with your track record, we can know whether you're the person. It's that simple.
All right, just hand the mic at the back, please.
I just wanted to follow up a little bit as the mic is moving, just to what Deborah has said. Deborah, you've talked about your own experience in legislative drafting. Beyond the LSK being very active on the streets, being very active in the courts, with all applications and all, is the LSK really active in championing legislation, like originating legislation, and then taking it and campaigning for that legislation to go through the process until it becomes law? And is it something that LSK can actually increase its presence on? Yes.
Indeed, LSK has been, part of that process, and even, introduced legislation. In my view, I think there's room for improvement, to be fair. It has been part of the conversation, but there's room for improvement. And let me put it this way. I think we need to get to a point where we anticipate some of these things. which requires you to assess situations and work proactively rather than reactive.
Rather than joining a bus that's already moving.
Yes, the bus is already moving. So if it's going that direction, basically, you will dandia wherever it is.
So that's why my question was on originating legislation and not coming in to participate in public participation. So the LSK is presenting its memorandum, but actually the LSK is saying we need a law, say, on femicide. And the LSK is starting a conversation, meeting the stakeholders, and then saying, here is a draft bill.
Initiate, because even the drafters of those legislation are our members. They're lawyers.
Okay. Right? Yes, please.
I'm hoping that I do not have to stand, but please tell me if I do.
I think you do.
I do?
Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tabitha. Obviously, I'm a lawyer. I feel that it's important, Latif, before we go to your question, to answer Zaha's question and James' question. So I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to start with James's question, which is, who am I not voting for? Luckily for me, because I'm not vying, I'm not going to be as diplomatic as Deborah. So I will tell you on national TV that I do not have faith in Charles Kanjama. And therefore, I am not voting for Charles Kanjama. And 3 reasons. One, historically, for those who may be younger than I am, I do have the eidetic memory to remember that Charles Kanjama opposed the current constitution that we have. He was part of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum that submitted several documents before we went into a referendum in 2009. And therefore, I do not have faith in a president who has already, through his actions in the past, shown me that he does not trust this constitution. In 2023, Charles Kanjama also introduced something known as the Linda Jamii Amendment Bill, which was a constitutional bill to be able to challenge several clauses in the constitution and amend them. And therefore, that's the first reason why I do not have faith in a president who will not safeguard the constitution. Number 2 is his religious affiliation. Article 8 of our constitution talks about the fact that there shall be no religious state. But what we've seen is Charles Kanjama, as an Opus Dei lawyer and the director of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, has constantly brought religion into everything that he's been doing and into, very serious and contentious issues. We have a bar that has queer lawyers, openly queer lawyers, and therefore I do not have faith in him to protect those who would need the protection, to be able to safeguard the clauses on Article 27 of the Constitution that talks about non-discrimination. And lastly, for me, it's because I want to show that I believe in the youth that we keep saying that we mentor. And therefore, my vote will go to someone who is much younger in the practice. And therefore, I want to test. This is the testing grounds that we have. For those of us who've constantly said, I have mentored 10 lawyers, I've mentored 15 lawyers, when do we give them a chance to be able to show us that whatever mentoring we've been doing and nurturing we've been doing actually works or not, so that we can course correct? So that's to answer James. Let me go back to a very important question that Zaha asked around, what is the role of lawyers in the forthcoming elections, particularly in elections, women, and violence? Those of you who may have read the Philip Waki report, it's the most gory report that describes in detail women in Kibra who were raped and forced to have those children, and police officers who would say, keep this pregnancy because we will use that DNA as evidence in court. The role that has been played in 2007, 2008, lawyers in the Law Society of Kenya enjoined into a case that was brought by Crew and others that challenged the role of the state in protecting women against election violence. That was not a preemptive move. And I think that there's a role for us here, particularly those who advance women's rights as lawyers, to come together and be able to, in 2026, number 1, have conversations with every political office person running, an aspirant, to say, you are going to sign on to a manifesto that says you have a job to make sure that you protect every woman in the constituency that you are going to be in. So there's room for us to I can feel the politician spirit in me coming out. I might just buy.
Are you buying?
I might just buy. Call me senator. Nipeni kura. But it's important because I think that there is, and then to summarize this, I do not want for us to land again, Zaha, in a Philip Waki report, where we're looking at women who were raped, children born out of rape, where we have to deal with compensation because eventually the case did go to court and the court awarded damages. At the regional level, the African Commission has actually made a decision in the Zimbabwe Human Rights Forum case and said, private and state actors have an obligation. So it's not just the government, but when private actors in their actions or omissions do something and the government still allows for you to do it, the government has an obligation towards making sure that even private actors can be able to be held accountable. And where the government does not do that, then the government then takes the
Tabitha,
fault.
as you close up, please tell me, LSK given the chance and a green light to solve the aspect of femicide by law? Because within the movement, we are crying on the fact that we cannot get these perpetrators behind bars. Most of them walk out. Remember Kware, remember all these cases where most of us who respond are on the edge. What is that gap that can assist LSK to ensure femicide is recognized?
So Deborah pointed out to this, that we have two schools of thought. We have those who say that use the existing Sexual Offences Act and any other law that was already there, right? Okay? There are those who have that school of thought, and then there are those who believe that we need to advocate for femicide as an individual standalone crime that is then prosecuted. I'm not vying, and therefore, again, I would perhaps give this chance to those who are vying, but it's important to note that I am of the school of thought that we need to have a legislation that specifically addresses femicide. I'm going to receive a lot of stones for this, but I stand by it. I think that where we are at, the statistics that we have are a good indicator that we've not been taken very seriously when it comes to these issues of sexual violence, and particularly for women. There is, however, a report, and I'm sure that this report was generated and gazetted by the Office of the President recently, which is the femicide report. And therefore, what I'm going to do to shorten this answer is to say, let's have tea. Thank you.
All right, pass the microphone to the right. The right, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Tabitha. I think she deserves a bigger clap. Yeah, she absolutely deserves a bigger clap. I'm just going to add to Tabitha's sentiments, which I agree with completely, insofar as the need to ensure that the specific legislation, there has to be some sort of deterrence. There has to be some sort of confidence building, especially for members of our society, women and girls out there, that when they do come to report, because that's the biggest issue. One of the biggest issues is even the ability to report. There's so many barriers to reporting sexual violence that could prevent more serious forms of sexual violence, such as femicide. So advocating for a law on femicide is the least. Honestly, if this council doesn't do it, it would be such a shame. It is the least we can do as Law Society of Kenya. Internally, we have worked on developing policies such as our anti-sexual harassment policy. So we have also considered internally some of the gender-based violence issues that our members face. The time is now to ensure implementation, because one thing Kenya does very well, we are experts. Let me tell you, we have PhDs in developing laws and developing legislation and developing policies and guidelines. Enough. We need political will, we need commitment from our leaders, both internally and externally, to ensure that we stop femicide for all the way. No woman, no girl in Kenya should die because they are a woman. That is completely unacceptable. And as Law Society of Kenya, if I have the privilege of serving, we have to be very, very serious about election preparedness. And this is not just about sexual violence, it's about violence in general. If we have a council that ignores this issue until it blows up, we would have really betrayed not only our members but the country. So the issue of legislation is within our law, the Law Society of Kenya Act. It is our obligation, it is our duty, it's actually our ethical mandate as well to ensure that there's legislation for people to be able to access justice in our country. One other thing before I give the mic, I want us to have our own version of Release the Epstein Files, and we need to open the Sexual Offences Register. Open the Sexual Offences Register.
All right. Where's the microphone on this side? Okay. Yes, you.
There's Kavuta there.
Okay. Okay, as she gets ready, maybe I'll just mention something just to keep the conversation going. And I think this is also something that I agree, yes, the Law Society of Kenya needs to take it up. But again, if you look at the structure that we have in our constitution, the legislature is the body that is specifically mandated to legislate. And when I talk about legislate, is enact laws. So there you had asked, is it enough to just be submitting memoranda, you know, or going to those committees and give our views in terms of public participation? So we also need good leaders who are also taking these conversations seriously now as a nation, so that, for example, for Parliament to make sure and have it a point that some of these legislations come into or are enacted into law. Now, good thing is that we are privileged as a society to have some of our members serve either in the Senate or National Assembly. So this is a conversation that we need to pick it up with some of them at their level, so that they can sponsor some of these bills and have them debated in Parliament and enacted into laws. And finally, picking from where Tabitha also left, in terms of some of these cases that we are having, I have been privileged to have been instructed by the society to act in one of these matters that are of huge public interest, and we are talking of the Baby Pendo case. This was this kid who was killed at the height of the 2013 election. But people don't know that this case was not only about Baby Pendo, but it was also about the women who suffered, you know, sexual harassment and all kind of violence in Obunga, Nyalenda, you know, those areas, environs of Kisumu. But it's been a fight for those people to take plea. It took around 8 years for them to take plea, these officers. And we are trying to now have a concept in law that is command responsibility, where we want, even now, these commanders, when issuing such instructions, should be able to face the law and justice, because some of these things were as a result. It is not just that officer who knocked that door. There were specific instructions that were issued in terms of command responsibility. So that is something that we need to also have as a nation, and not only just in that case. Now, in other cases, be it abduction case, be it, you know, the violence that is meted the day, those young men who are, you know, seriously clobbered very late into the night. So we need to have a strong society, because one of the challenges we had in that case, as I finalize, is that those superior commanders that were to face or take plea in that case, at some point, somehow, we lost them. So we are now trying only 4. Initially, we had 13 of them. So this is some of the challenges that we are having, but we still remain resolute and try to fight that finally, for example, those families that face those the kind of violence in that case finally get justice, or they can at least say justice has been done for them. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to do this. Give the microphone to the gentleman at the back. He's been asking for the microphone since 1.5 hours ago. And then we start closing these out. Yes, please stand.
Yes, good evening. My name is Mr. Koira Kimani. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I predominantly practice in the family area division. I wanted to speak more about the corruption part of it, but I think that has been covered, though that now takes me to the issue of femicide. What is actually the problem is that we have a highly corrupt investigation agency. The media will highlight the situation. Then once the police take that investigation, it goes on and on and on. I have been privileged. The LSK is really doing quite enough. We have the public interest division. I serve in the LSK Children Committee. There was a matter that I was given where a minor had been killed, and from the slum area. And what happens, you go to the police stations to try and get these details and the investigation. You can imagine, as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, an entire police station misleads me. The contact, what was reported, and they tell you cannot see an OB. Then there's also intimidation part of it. These people, you'll imagine even a chief in those local communities has the power to intimidate. A local chief has the power to intimidate this complainant who comes forth and says probably there's a murder that has happened, or the people involved, you find probably there were 5, but only 2, and it's always the broke one who actually gets to someone with the dreadlock. This is the person who committed the crime. 4 of them are actually let free. So we have that. And how then DPP exercises these prosecutorial powers, it has first to come from this corrupt agency known as probably the DCI or the police unit. If you look at the way the courts have interpreted the issue about private prosecution, it creates a higher degree of operation. You must have gone to the probably DCI, they must have taken the claim, they must have refused, there's a prima facie evidence appraisal into it. So you find all this is a systematic issue that blocks. But if, for instance, citizens themselves, if faced with an issue where you feel that the police are biased, you can on your own now proceed. This is the evidence I have. Just in the way we do it in civil cases, you can proceed to prosecute, then that will really bring the much desired change that we want. That will be all. Thank you.
We can continue forever and ever. Are you vying for opposition? No. Okay, so she'll be the last one to speak. Then I'm going to give everyone who's vying 30 seconds to do an elevator speech on why.
Why you?
Why you? And then Latif will close the show for us. Yes, please.
Thank you for this chance. My name is Dori Munji, and let me say we're going to vote for someone who will be upholding the rule of law and also making sure the welfare of the members is a key concern.
Would you have a name?
My name is Doreen.
Name of that person.
Who is your candidate?
So let me
pressure.
proceed.
No pressure if you don't feel like. But
so let me say this. You know, so many people are avoiding this topic, but slowly the legal profession is becoming accessible to members who can. The legal profession is a privilege to members who can survive unpaid labor or low wages for their labor. So what we don't want the LSK to become a trade union. We have seen PDU fighting for the interns. So we want the LSK to have a framework. They don't have to negotiate for the salaries like PDU do. We want them to have a framework where we'll have a standardized mode of payment to their pupils. Yes, that is my point.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And since the microphone is there, let's start with you, your elevator speech. 30 seconds at most.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Wanjeri Elizabeth Ongwe, and I'll be vying for the position of Vice President. Now, I am best suited for this position. Over my 19 years of practice, I have had the opportunity to know the challenges that face the legal profession and solutions that are needed. I am a proactive person, and I am guided by service that results in solutions and improved member welfare. My greatest contribution so far to the society has been the reduction of CPD event prices and the issuance of certificate of good standing free of charge. But I do realize that there is more to be done in terms of welfare and practice issues. And on the basis of that, I request you that you vote for me as the Vice President of the Law Society of Kenya in the upcoming elections. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity. Well, members of the bar, I come before you once again. My name is Teresia Ovinya Nicholas. I am aspiring to be your next Vice President. I have currently served you as a general member, and I've been able to actually draft the new amendment of the ARO, which is going to improve our bread and butter, hence increasing our monies in our pockets, because poverty is the enemy. Allow me to finish that by ensuring that the Chief Justice will actually gazette it. Secondly, you have seen me fighting for our spaces, safeguarding it against the masqueraders and against the quacks who have been coming to infiltrate our society. We have gone ahead as a general member to ensure the task that I started together with my colleagues Gloria Kimani and Stephen Bugwa at the Nairobi branch has been now cascaded to all the branches where we have brought them on the decision table so that they be able to tell us how they want us to eradicate the masqueraders at their branches. Most importantly, when I was admitted as an advocate, together with my colleagues, we realized that the young lawyers had no voice. We went ahead and formed the Young Bar Association. I became the first director welfare. Hence the name you nicknamed me, Mama Welfare. Allow me, as I exit the arena of leadership, to go and fully structure welfare across all chapters and branches so that the society can have a dignified manner on how we implement welfare. Teresia Vinya Nicholas, kazi iendelee. Thank you very much.
No pressure whatsoever.
You know they say save the best for last. Why Deborah? First and foremost, experience. Experience counts for something. I'm the only candidate who has a diverse 360 experience. In private practice, in corporate conveyancing, NGO, and corporate governance. You won't find that anywhere else. So that experience, that is me, number one. Number two, a proven heart for service. I have served this society from when I was a young lawyer. Most people think because I'm turning 20, I was never a young lawyer. FYI, I was a young lawyer. I served in the Young Lawyers Committee and moved to in-house lawyers committee, moved to the CPD committee, served in the welfare arm, which many people don't know about, where we handle directly the mental health issues. It's disheartening, but we have actually supported many lawyers on mental health issues. Alcoholism, I will speak about it because it's a real issue. Yeah. It is not just an issue that impacts the rest of the society. It's real. We have high pressure jobs, and the Advocates Welfare Association, Benevolent Association has done cases. We've had medical cases where our lawyers have had accidents, and we've assisted them, speedily. So those are real, tangible things which I have done, and so I understand welfare. Yeah. And finally, I am accessible. I am accessible.
What's your number?
I'm accessible. Oh, you want my number? I'll give. In fact, you don't even need to have my number. I'm on all social media platforms and
omnipresent.
Omnipresent. Kila pahali.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Then 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and 30 seconds. I need to be out in less than a minute. Yes.
Thank you. Abner Collins Mango is my name, and thank you for having us here today. I'll be seeking a general member representative seat. So my mantra and vision is having a member-centric society geared towards protection of the rule of law. That is what I'm contesting under. And just to answer the question that I've had on the issue, especially because it touches on young advocates, the issue of sexual harassment and payment of pupils and young advocates is something that the Law Society of Kenya needs to pick up, which I will, in terms of having one, as a matter of policy, and two, also picking it up with the Kenya School of Law that is primarily tasked with ensuring that this kind of training is done. So we shall be meeting, we shall interact when I do the door-to-door and have other platforms, but remember the name, Abner Collins Mango, the low-hanging fruit. It's mango season, so the time is right. Thank you.
All right. Yes, 30 seconds, please.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Halima Ali. I am vying for the position of Nairobi Rep in the upcoming elections. Why me? I have experience in private practice. I have experience in corporate world. I am familiar with the challenges that are faced by private practitioners and in-house counsel. And that gives me, again, a wider view of what exactly we are facing as members of this society. Equally, I am one of the, I emphasize on the need for us to build an institution, LSK institution, to secure our profession. The council is the most temporary. We have only 2 years in that council, but we have a secretariat, and it's high time, as candidates, we actually think of building LSK as an institution so that we have efficient services. The other thing is, I am energy and natural resource lawyer. It's a niche. I'm advocating that for those of us who are actually saying that we are admitting a lot of young advocates into the field, it's high time for us to also, while doing our traditional practice and protecting it, to consider alternative pathways. Why? It gives you a platform even at global level.
Right.
You know, issue of cross-jurisdiction is no longer the feature. It is here with us. So if you want to offer your services across the border, then you have to position yourself in emerging sectors. This is Halima, and thank you. Please consider me for Nairobi position. Asanteni sana.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Sophia Wangeshi Rajab, and I am vying for General Member Representative of the Law Society of Kenya. My slogan is fight for my members, fight for the nation. And that's not just a slogan, it's a commitment. I am extremely passionate about fighting for my members, ensuring that our members have a livable and dignified wage. It really is the least we can do. And that is really one of my bigger priorities, ensuring that welfare issues are taken care of and bread and butter issues at the front lines. When it comes to fight for the nation, I think everyone here in this room today and the people outside of this room, in the audience, regular Kenyans, understand that the Kenya that we live in today, this is an authoritarian state. There is shrinking civil space. There is a violation of the right to freedom of expression. And if we don't take care as lawyers, particularly those who want to serve in the council, we will descend into more authoritarianism. That's the word. So the issue of constitutionalism, rule of law, integrity is really just the base minimum. If there is a council member who is not putting those as a minimum, then that's a concern. So constitutionalism, rule of law, and integrity are bare minimum. I said that I'm a fighter. You spoke about Maandamano, Latif, earlier. During the Maandamano time, during the femicide protests, I was at the front lines. I'm in a nice suit today, but trust me, when it comes to Maandamano, when it comes to protests, I have consistently, throughout my 15, 16 years of practice, fighting for human rights, fighting for the protection of human rights across the country and across the globe. So those are my commitments as a person who's vying. I will be in the front lines. Gloves will be off. When there's time for dialogue, there'll be time for dialogue. But trust me, when our members are calling for us to be on the front lines and fight, I will be on the front lines fighting.
Oh, there's one final, yes. 30 seconds, please stand.
My pleasure. My name is Wycliffe Foyo. I'm vying for the position of Nairobi representative to the main council. And I think I'm best suited for this position because I know the job. I don't theorize about the job. I am doing the job at the Nairobi branch. I have done the job as a committee member of 2 important committees of the Law Society of Kenya, and I currently convene the tax liaison and the PIL committee of the branch, from which we have been in the streets in 2024 during the Gen Z protests. We have held various legal clinics around the country, and we've delivered one of the most vibrant branch councils since the Nairobi branch was constituted in 2016. I have spoken for the branch. I currently sit at the branch executive, and I lead a lawyers branch and body that has 76% of the membership of the Law Society of Kenya. Of the 18,000 people going to vote, 13,000 of them are my members. They have trusted me at the branch, and I am asking them to trust me together with other lawyers across the country to the National Council for the reason that my scorecard, my track record, my contribution to this society is not only unmatched by the very good people vying for this position, but presents the most practical solutions we want for the society. And specifically, I am looking at having members be at the forefront of what we are going to do, because we have collected views from the membership we represent, and the members are saying the balance we've been discussing the whole evening today, can it now tilt towards looking after the member more? Because it is only when the member is well taken care of that then we can go out there and present the public, walk in courts, get out those in distress. We can't do that if our members are suffering.
All right.
But last and finally, my candidature
This is your
is
final,
not,
final.
The last
yes. I'm a politician, James. I can have last 3 times. But last and finally, I'm also looking at having a strong council, not only of me as a Nairobi representative, but everyone across the board who will be elected. And that is the plea I have to the membership of the Law Society of Kenya this evening, that let's elect a strong council and not those who will come and disappear after the election. May God bless the Law Society of Kenya. Thank you.
Tyranny of numbers. 13,000 of the members are in Nairobi, and they've trusted me. Anyway, please.
Well, I think we've had a vibrant conversation tonight,
Yeah.
and I want to thank everybody for their participation. And I think it's clear that you all have a passion for your profession and for the society. Now, we were asking the question, does the public actually feel the Law Society is not just a members' society, but also a public society? One of the mandates that, as is already out here, is also to advocate for public interest. Are you doing a good job of that? Now, there's evidence to show that you actually are, as the Law Society of Kenya, because we've seen the amount of cases, right? A number of cases, legal aid and support that's been given to the public. Of course, you're just looking at the last 2 years, a lot of work has been done on that front. We've just talked about the legal clinics that have been conducted by the Law Society of Kenya, just to create awareness and enhance awareness on law, enforcement, or against fake lawyers. And yes, that was mentioned by a candidate, that, you know, you've got rogue elements amongst you, and you've done a good job of weeding them out because they didn't go to school like you did. Okay. There's active advocacy for constitutional and constitutional rights. Many petitions have been taken in a public interest litigation that's gone to court. Yes, the Law Society of Kenya has done that. There's also a bit of evidence that, you know, there's some job that could be done that's not being done. For example, if you look at the Legal Aid Act and the lack of proper implementation of that, and one of the senior lawyers in this country, Waiko Onyoike, has actually been advocating for this and saying, how can the Law Society of Kenya push better for the proper implementation of the Legal Aid Act that allows more people to have access to advocates? That's something that the Law Society could do. Rural and marginalized areas still underserved? Yes. An advocate from Kilifi has just said, look, where we've been practicing, we feel underrepresented. That is something that's coming out of there. So the Law Society of Kenya could do that, not only for its members, but for the public as well, for the public across the country to feel the presence of lawyers. Mixed perception and political pushback. This is a dicey one, because the perception would be based a lot on the public political perception. Now, is this Law Society aligned to the government, or is it not aligned to the government? I mean, that is very, very subjective. But it's a conversation that the Law Society of Kenya would like to maybe think, how do you elevate yourself so that you are not judged on the politics? What's your name? Then you must be aligned to the other side. In conclusion, the Law Society of Kenya is making measurable effort to defend the public through legal aid, through outreach, through advocacy. Scale of that impact is still limited. While its actions are significant, expanded legal aid and broader public reach are needed for the LSK to fully meet legal protection needs of all the Kenyan public. That there's still a lot that could be done. And like we said, and we just posited here, for example, originating legislation and championing for that legislation, even outside Parliament, so the public walks with you and says, my MP, vote for this particular one, and such. So there's a lot that can be done. There's a lot that you've done, and that's the last word. Thank you all very much for watching. Asante and have a lovely day.
Thank you for coming, guys.
This is the best episode we've had.
Absolutely.
hii, ukidial *419# option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna probox. Jaribu.
Ni ukweli. Yaani nimeshaingia na ndio tunafieka. Pia inaona iko ndani. Wanaongelea nini hao? Ni shamba. Na sio